Allison, Pam, Eve, and Isabel. And so far, so good. But we may get more. So, needless to say, we are living in unprecedented times, really extraordinary times. And they seem just a little bit more ordinary as the day passes. And luckily, we're wired to adjust and do our best to thrive in these tough times. And I know when we have our book group, I often speak about community. And I speak about it now more than ever because this is when we really need each other. We need each other to have a virtual hug and comfort and just someone to listen. So that's what I'm hoping we can do today. So this meeting will technically be a book chat. We will share recommendations of books and audios and maybe movies. And we will attempt our usual agenda where we take turns. Okay. Where we will take turns to speak if you choose to, but I encourage you to turn on your muting if you're not speaking, so the sound is better. And this session is going to be recorded for our YouTube channel for the library. And that's going to be 30 minutes. And after the 30 minutes and the recording ends, we can absolutely continue talking and discussing and, go on for an hour or more. And if this is successful, I hope we can meet again and discuss a chosen book title as we do in our regular library get-togethers. So I would like since Eve, you're at the top of my screen. Anne is coming. Let's see. Anne joined. Okay. Anne, can you hear us? Maybe not. Eve, you're at the top of my screen. So would you like to be the first to share some recommendations? Oh.
So as far as books go, I just read Erik Larson's new book called The Splendor and the Vial.
Oh, yeah.
I really enjoyed it a lot. I think it presented Britain and Winston Churchill in a very readable and interesting way, talking more about him personally and his relationship with his family and the people of London and how they all withstood the Blitz, which I found, incredible.
Oh, yeah.
But I really like his books anyway, so I'd highly recommend that if you can read it on an e-reader or whatever. It's really quite good. My husband read it too, and he really liked it.
Oh, great.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say we've done a few of books, and everybody has enjoyed them, and I'm anxious to read this one as well.
Yeah, it's quite good. The other one I got on this binge of reading Marie Benedict's books, which are historical fiction about women.
Oh, okay.
And her newest one is about Churchill's wife, Clementine. And that's what got me started reading all this Churchill stuff. And I really like it. I like historical fiction, generally speaking, so I enjoyed that. And then I read her 3 other books, too. One was about Einstein's first wife. One was about Hedy Lamarr, and she invented some kind of radar system during World War II, which I had no idea about. So I recommend those. It's light reading, but it's interesting, I thought. And the other thing I wanted to recommend for people who have Netflix, there's a new show. It's called Unorthodox. I don't know if anyone's ever seen it. It's 4 episodes, and it's about an ultra-Orthodox woman who leaves Brooklyn and goes and lives in Germany. She's a very young woman, and she obviously gets married quite early, but it's a great, great show. I mean, it definitely recommended if people are interested in watching something instead of reading. So those are my couple recommendations.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Kevin, would you like to go next? Kevin? Hello, Kevin? Can you hear me? Kevin, can you hear me? Yeah, hi, would you like to go next?
Oh, hi, yeah,
Oh,
my
no
mic got
problem.
turned off by accident. I haven't really been reading any new books because it's been kind of a hassle to get to the library and check it out. I'm not sure how that's working out for you, but I've seen a couple good shows. One was a British drama, The Crown, with John Lithgow as Churchill. I don't know if the woman who was just speaking, if she's heard of that, because he plays it excellently. Very good actor, universally good. I grew up with him personally in Third Rock from the Sun as a comedic actor, but he's very, very good in this portrayal of Churchill. So that's really the only show I could think about now because I haven't been reading, but that's just about all I have to say, Deborah. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. I want to remind you, Kevin, can you still hear me?
I can still hear you, yes.
So I just want to remind you that our digital library is open to everyone who has a library card, and you can access that from home and borrow books. You can borrow ebooks and e-audiobooks, movies. There's a wealth of material. So you don't...
How do you pick the books up?
So you download the books to your device, either to your phone or your computer. Or your iPad, and I will send you an email after this meeting and tell you how to go about it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thanks.
Okay. Oh, Isabel, you're here. Can you hear us? Maybe not.
Yes,
Well, let's
Yeah.
go to.
I can. Can you hear me?
Let's go to. Oh, excellent.
I don't
do
know
hear
why.
you. Welcome.
Hi.
Thank you. So maybe we could have
Good.
Pam go next.
I just sent you
Pam, are you there?
an
I
email
am.
to, that I
Do you want me to
could
go?
see.
Yeah, let's have Pam go. Isabel,
Okay.
could you just mute while Pam talks? We're trying to do that for the extra noise.
Okay. I read just in early March, before this all sort of blew up, a new book by Julia Alvarez called Afterlife. I don't know if you can see this, but
Yeah.
Can you see it?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So she hasn't written a book for adults in like 15 years. She, you know who she is. This is a fiction. It's a story of a woman who's in her late 60s, who lives in Vermont, very much like the author who was / is a professor at Middlebury College. Anyway, a woman very much like that, whose husband has just died unexpectedly, and afterlife refers to that and a lot of other things, and it deals with immigrants in Vermont, which is interesting. Vermont culture. And she is from a Dominican family, as the author is, and her sisters are, she's very close with them, and there's a lot of drama there. And it was a short, really well-written, good book. I would really recommend it for, something that you can read in less than a week or shorter and
feel like you've read something. And since then, I've just been completely escapist, and I've been reading the fifth in the Outlander series, which is called The Fiery Cross, and it's a 1,000-page book, so I'm about on 550. But it's very immersive, and if you like the characters, if you don't know about it, you should start at the beginning. There's also a TV series that's gone on they're in their fifth season, which I really like. So, but it's sort of all encompassing. So I like to get away that way.
That's great. That's great. Well, thank you. Do you know the name of the first book in the series, Pam? Or you say there's 5?
Yes, Outlander. Yes, it starts with Outlander, and that's the name of the book. The subsequent books have different names, but they're all in that series. The author is Diana Gabaldon.
Oh, yes. Excellent. Well, thank you so much. How about Isabel? Are you there, Isabel? Isabel? I don't think she can hear me. Isabel? I don't hear her. Oh, there you are. Isabel, if you can unmute. Oh, there, you did it. You just did it. Okay. Well, let's go to how about Abby? Oh, yeah, I hear you now.
My mic should be on now.
Yes, I hear you. Can you hear me?
I haven't read this book, but I heard about it. Yes.
Okay. Do you want to share a book title?
I can hear you.
Okay. Do you want to share a recommendation?
Well, a recommendation is, I haven't read the book, but I heard it's a historical fiction, I guess. It's called An Unpredictable Friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about Ruth Diane's wife. And I think it's Arafat's wife.
Uh-huh.
I can't remember the name of the book I'm reading now. Is something Mine.
Okay.
Eden Mine. Has anyone heard of that? Eden Mine, M-I-N-E.
Huh. I have not.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm going to get off. This is a little difficult.
Okay.
I have no trouble with
problem.
Zoom, but I seem to have trouble with this.
Yeah. Okay. How about Abby? Can you hear me? We can't hear you. Unmute. Unmute. You are muted. Can't hear you. Hi, Trisha. Are you there? Hi, Trisha. Can you hear me?
My apologies for being late.
No problem. I can't hear Abby. Abby, can you hear me? No, she can't. Okay,
Yes, she can. She's nodding yes.
Abby's nodding yes? Okay. Okay, I can't see her, but, uh, Abby, did you want to recommend anything?
Abby, this is Ina. So when you go to your screen, there is a mic. It's usually when you hover, if you're on a computer, if you hover down with the mouse, a bar is going to pop up and you'll see a mic. Or in your picture, you can hover over the mic there and you can unmute. Or alternative, you can, Abby,
No,
you can
you're still-
log out and log back in, and that will unmute you as well.
We'll wait
I
just
did
a
it.
minute and then we'll
Oh,
go on.
good.
I did it, Ann.
You did it?
I finally,
Ann,
finally
you
was
did
able
it.
to figure
I
it
got,
out.
I got it. Am I on?
Yes.
Thank
Can
you.
you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you see me?
Excellent. Yeah, we can
You
hear
can-
you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you
We
see
can
me?
hear you.
Can you see me?
Hi.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you. That was very helpful.
Okay.
So,
Abby's
do you
turn.
want me to talk?
I do. If you'd like to recommend some books, if you'd like to pass, that's
No,
fine
I
too.
have. So, as the first person mentioned, the series on, I think it's Amazon, or I'm not sure if it's Amazon or Netflix, but Unorthodox.
Yes.
Unbelievable mini series, 4 hours I think long. My husband and I couldn't even turn off the TV. We're up till 2 a.m. watching it. Fascinating, and it leaves you on a cliffhanger at the end of each one. You just got to find out what happens with this woman. But it's the way they show the ultra Orthodox Jews is so interesting. All of their traditions and the things that they do. It's really it's a really good miniseries. So that's
Great.
number one.
Well,
Number two is
okay.
yeah. So number two is this was an old. I was looking through some of my older books that I loved. I'm sure a lot of you read this, but
Oh, yeah.
if you haven't, it's Angela's Ashes by Frank McCourt.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. It's so devastating. The whole story about this guy's life and how poor they were and just abject poverty and how he came out of it. But, all the things that they had to go through, like, food and sewage and that took place in Ireland, I believe. And that was just really, that was a riveting book. Another one I'm reading now is The Dove Keepers by Alice Hoffman. And that's really good. It takes place again, it's another it's a Jewish I guess it's a Jewish novel, I guess you would say, but it takes place when the second temple was destroyed in Jerusalem, and it's about this woman who, they all exile into the desert, but it's her personal story about it's kind of a coming of age and also her finding her way in life, but it's also, it's historical, so it's talking about Mount Masada, and it's talking about how people lived and the Romans. And so it's I'm only about 100 pages in, but it's very good. It's a very fast read, and I find that fascinating. So
Excellent.
those are my recommendations.
Thank you so much, Abby.
Yes.
I'd like to read that one. Excellent.
Thank you.
So how about Anne? Would you like to talk,
Yep.
Anne?
Sure. I also watched the ultra Orthodox one. Unorthodox, it was called. And it's also, she's written a book. Her name is Feldman.
Hmm.
And it's a memoir. And there's been
Uh-huh.
some criticism. But there's another one, I think it's called One of Us. It's a documentary, and it's about a woman and two men who they do interviews, and they have left, and they went to a place called Footsteps, which helps them get out. And the woman is now, my daughter teaches at Smith, and the woman is now, she's 36. She had 7 children in 6
Ah.
years,
Wow.
and her husband was abusive.
Ah.
And so she's now declared she's a lesbian, and she's a freshman at Smith College.
Hmm.
She
Wow.
wants to be a lawyer. And it's
Wow.
a very short video.
Huh. One of Us.
I think that's what it's called.
Oh, excellent.
I know it's one is in it.
One.
And
Thank you.
that was very interesting. And now I'm watching one called, I can't think of the name of it. Let me look it up here. Netflix. It's not it's not true, but it takes place in Jerusalem, and it's also ultra Orthodox, and it's about a family. It's called, where is it? I can't remember the name, but it's here, Sitzel.
What is it?
Shtitsel. Sitzel.
Huh.
And
Okay.
that's kind of interesting. And I also watched Madam C.J. Walker, about the black woman. She was the first woman millionaire.
Hmm.
Ah,
Hmm.
okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, Anne. How about Trisha? Would you like to talk?
I'm just, I have to confess, I haven't read Leadership yet by Doris Kearns Goodwin. It's
Okay.
way overdue.
You have time. You have time.
Good. I'm not going to be penalized for not returning books.
No, not at all. No penalties during
Okay.
lockdown.
Good. I just have this huge stack of big, serious things. I will say that in the last, I went on a civil rights trip, and I read one of the things that I read that I really loved, and it's not a tome. It's called Freedom's Daughters by Lynn Olson.
Oh, yeah.
And it's about the women of the civil rights movement. And it also is very interesting about hooking up the women's movement with hooking up the civil rights movement with the women's movement.
Huh.
And it really made me think about those years, the 60s in particular.
Right.
But I really enjoyed it. I've also enjoyed all of Lynn Olson's books, which I don't know if our group has read any of them.
Not yet.
And we could go right through them. So that's it for me. I'm still walking over the Selma Bridge with John Lewis. That book is taking me a long time.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. Her books are many of her books are long, very long.
Yeah.
But that's great. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm sorry.
They're good reads, every one of them, particularly the one about Edward R. Murrow and all those broadcasters in London. And then, well, anyway.
Yeah, I think I know the one you mean. And maybe we can do one of those when we get back to our regular group.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Trisha. How about Leslie?
Hi. So, hi everyone. Nice to see you. I had to join because it's a town email and my kids are in the public schools. It says Joss Richmond, but that's my son. It automatically went to Wellesley Public Schools account. So
no worries.
Nice to see anyone. I have one very ironic book that the last book I checked out that I'm reading before the shutdown. It's called Ready or Not, Preparing Our Kids to Thrive in an Uncertain and Rapidly Changing World. And I thought that was just
Wow.
hilarious.
Oh my God.
So I tend to read stuff like that, and I read a lot of nonfiction. But so for myself, I'm reading the most recent Malcolm Gladwell. I'm listening to "Talking to Strangers"
Sure.
by Malcolm Gladwell. And then the other things I currently have on my shelf that I've been enjoying is a book called Range by David Epstein, which is about sort of being a multidisciplinary person as opposed to a specialist, and how people with a lot of different skills and abilities tend to thrive, can thrive. So those are the things I'm working on now, along with a lot of YA titles. And by the way, I'm also a fan of Outlander, so thumbs up to Outlander.
Oh, great. Another one. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ina, are you there? Ina, are you there?
Yes, I am.
So, do we need to end the recording now, or can we keep going?
We can keep going. It's just gonna be a big file and it may require some editing,
Okay,
but it's a test,
why don't
so
I-
let's go.
Okay. I think what I will do now then is, for the recording, I'll say some closing remarks, but then as a group, we can continue talking. How's that?
That sounds good to me.
Okay, so I'd like to just say, we usually have our coffee and our treat in the morning, and I could not provide that today, but I want to toast with my coffee. I want to toast all of you and just tell you I miss you and I miss our community, and I'm going to do my best to have everybody stay in touch. And I so look forward to giving you all a hug when we see you in the library. So you all be well. Okay, so